Okay, so going through the errors, well, the way that I fixed this error here, let me see here. The way that I fixed this error is pretty simple. The toString method in the location class was marked as override, meaning it was overriding its base class toString method, but I didn't have a base class toString method, so the base class of location, I believe, is just GameObject or GameObjectList. I'm not sure, but either I didn't have a toString method in there, or I didn't have the virtual keyword on it, which would make it, a method that needed to be overrode to override it. So in this case, I just removed the override, and just that way to get rid of the error. It's possible in the future that I'll go and verify that I actually do have a toString method associated with the base class, which is actually probably likely, and I just need to put the virtual keyword there, in which case then I can go back and put the override. However, the override's not actually necessary. It's just a nicety to tell the compiler that, hey, I'm intending on overriding this method. Make sure that I have the signature exactly the same, and that I am in fact overriding it, like it did in this case, where it threw out this error saying, hey, just so you know, you're not overriding anything. So that's why we put that there. So that's how we dealt with that. Then we've got a lot of errors associated with the riddle class. All these errors up to here. Okay, keep going. Up to here are all to do with the riddle class. So this one suddenly is not to do with the riddle class. This was an easy one. Again, where is this located in? This was in the riddle class as well, actually. So never mind. Yeah, so we only started into another class here, chapter H, or the chapter class. So all of this is basically the riddle class. So again, we fixed the toString method, which was in the location class. I just need to get rid of the override, or in the future I'll go back to the base class of location and put the virtual keyword in front of the toString so that I'm actually overriding something. All the stuff associated with the riddle class, a lot of it had to do with in the constructors. You'll see that it says in the constructor, riddle's answers will be initialized after blah blah. I had the order mixed up. So in C++, it's important that, let me just close this for a second. In C++, it's important that your constructor, you have to go way up here for, it's important that the order of which your instance variables are listed in your class. So again, I'm inside the class riddle here, and these are my private instance variables. These are static variables, so these don't really count for the purposes of what we're talking about. But the instance variables are listed in this order: riddle number, question, hint 1, 2, 3, point value, answer word, and then stood vector of type string, answers, and then num guesses. This is the order they have to be initialized in. So in the initializer list, now I have them in the right order. You'll see that I'm initializing riddle number first. So the double colon here, initializer list. I'm initializing the riddle number first, then question, and then hint 1. I don't have hints 2 and 3 in this one, so it's fine that they're not initialized as long as I'm not initializing the something ahead of them. And then point value, answer word, answers, and num guesses, all in order. Before, I think I was initializing, I had answers initialized maybe here after a question. So stood vector of type answers is down here. Hint had to be initialized next. So that was causing a lot of issues. Ultimately, the fix could have been to reorder these to match the constructors, or in this case I just left this as is and I reordered the constructors. But order is important. I think I have a codium that told me that. Let's see. And okay, it doesn't keep a history. But basically, actually, I thought it did keep a history. Okay, well, it doesn't really matter. Order's important. Actually, maybe it was over here. I'm using ChatGPT to help me some of the stuff. So there you go. If the initializer list initializes answers before hint 1, it triggers a warning. Basically, this is kind of what it's saying. The warning indicates that the order in which the member variables are listed in the initializer list of your constructor does not match their declaration order in the class. In C++, members are initialized in the order they are declared, not in the order they appear in the initialization list. So again, in C++, members are initialized in the order they are declared in the class, not the order they appear. So again, I had them appear in this order, starting with real number, then question, then the hints, point value, answer word, and then the vector, and then num guesses. I have to make sure that the order of which I initialized them in using the initializer list matches that. So that's one thing. That's one error. And that obviously persisted because I have quite a few overloading the constructor. Basically, I pass in one hint here. Here I pass in 2 hints. Here I pass in 3 hints. This also caused an issue. I guess when I copied and pasted, I originally had all 3 constructors that had the same things. They all initialized. They had hint 1, hint 2, and hint 3 for all 3 of them. However, they were, because, well, let's just look at the error instead of me explaining it. Where's the error here? So right here. Warnings like riddle hint 2 is initialized with itself. So in this case, because the parameter list that I'm expecting, when like the parameterized constructor, expects, in this case, just a stood string passed by constant reference for hint 1, it expects 1 hint passed in. Emma's sleeping, so I gotta talk quiet. It expects 1 hint passed in, but the initializer list initializes 3 hints. So this one's fine because I'm expecting 1 hint, hint 1, and this white hint refers to the parameter hint 1. They're allowed to have the same name because this, when you do initializer list and you do this hint open close parens here, this hint is understood to be the instance variable associated with the riddle class. This inside the parentheses is known to be this parameter. So this is fine. However, these two are out of nowhere. I mean, I'm not passing any other parameters. So as you can see here, hint 2 tries to initialize hint 2. These basically are just both referring to the same hint. This isn't referring to the instance variable at this particular point because, well, it doesn't know that. So basically, does it say anything else? No. So the issue there was because I'd copied and pasted the parameter lists and the initialization list for all 3 constructors. However, here in this riddle class, I only accept 1 hint. See? I take in a stood string by constant reference, hint 1, and yet I was initializing hint 2 and 3. Here I take in 2 hints, this hint plus this second hint, so I'm taking in 2 of them. But I was initializing 3. I had hint 3 here. Here I'm taking in 3, so here I was fine. I was taking in 3 strings representing hints 1, 2, and 3, and I was initializing 3. So that worked out. But the other 2, I had things that were not being initialized, which was giving me these weird... oh, well, I don't have the error there anymore. It was giving me these weird errors. So this riddle answers was being initialized after blah 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 string vector. That was, the order was wrong. I was initializing things in the opposite order that I had the instance variables listed. Here, the hint stuff, this is causing had to do with like hint 2 is initialized itself, hint 3 is initialized itself. That's where the parameter that the parameter arguments, or the formal arguments for the constructor, didn't match what I was initializing. So that's that. So a lot of this stuff, let me just zoom out here. All this stuff associated with the constructors, in constructor, this answers, the hints, basic string. All this answers will be initialized after. All had to do with that ordering being incorrect. So having my parameters, that the formal parameters that I was taking in, not match what I was initializing, had to do with all the hint stuff. Hint 2 and hint 3 initializing themselves, and all this other stuff had to do with the order that the instance variables were declared. That they were declared in my class. But initialized in a different order. It's late at night and Emma's trying to sleep, so I gotta be quiet. Then we get into some different errors. So this error, starting here, we're kind of in different errors now. So right around here, all the other stuff. So from this point all the way up here, all had to do with constructor stuff, except for this 1 2 string method where I just had the keyword override I had to remove. But then starting around here, the error became different. So in function bool, this ask function accepts no parameters and returns a bool. We had num guesses was not declared in this scope. So I had num guesses equals 0. And same with player responds yes was not declared in scope. We had a lot of these was not declared in this scope, was not declared in this scope stuff. Look, riddle already asked was not declared in this stuff. A lot of errors happened because originally, for some reason, I've been doing, there's a lot of code to deal with, and I'm copying and pasting a lot of stuff to try to save myself typing. What had happened was my class started here with my opening brace, and at some point I had like a closing brace maybe here. I think a closing brace around here. So what happened was all these functions, which are supposed to be member functions, they're supposed to be instant variable functions, were no longer in the class. They were being declared and defined outside the class. So it caused all those issues. It caused all the issues where num guesses was not declared, player response was not declared, because they weren't in the class, they were outside of the class. So that was all that. This caused an issue. I had invalid use of this keyword, which normally refers to the object that a method is being called upon, in a non-member function. So again, some of the stuff was still be caused by that curly brace, that closing curly brace of the riddle class being out of place, because this was no longer a member function. Riddle already asked. Oh no, wait, sorry, non-member function. I think that's because I was referring to this. I can't remember actually now with this one. If it was because it's a non-member function. I don't know if this is a non-member function. It may be. Let's take a look. Riddle already asked. Well, that's not the function though. I think it was this. So this is a static, so it is a non-member function. It is a static stood vector of type bool called riddle already asked. So this is a vector of Boolean values, and it's static, so it is a non-member function. And I think what was happening was where is it? Right here. Right here, originally I had dot set. I was calling a set function, the set method on this Boolean vector, and I had this arrow operator riddle. I had this inside of a set method, so it looked like dot set, and in parenthesis I had this stuff. But the set method isn't a method associated with the stood vector of type boolean, so that didn't work. So instead I just had to use the index operator, so within these square brackets, and I'm using this. I'm referring to the object that this method ask riddles being called on, because this will be using dot notation being called in some riddle object, referring to this riddle object, which this is just a special keyword. It's like a pointer to a riddle object, and by using the arrow operator I'm sort of dereferencing it and pointing to where the riddle object pointer points, and then I'm grabbing the riddle number instance variable. So I'm using that to set the index. I'm grabbing the riddle number associated with the object that this ask riddle is being called on, and then I'm using that riddle number to go to as the index number of this riddle already asked. I'm going to set it true. So basically each riddle is associated with, like, has a riddle number, and so I'm in this vector of type boolean, I'm setting the number associated with a particular riddle true, because hey, it's already been asked at this point, because I've obviously called the ask riddle on it. So that was causing this issue. So that's this whole, I had dot set, which is actually not a method associated with the vector. I think I had it as a list or something else first. I can't remember why I was using the set method. But in either case, the fix was just using the index operator. I probably could have also done dot at and did the same thing. That might even be a better option, because then I get error checking and bounds checking, which you don't get with the index operator. So that might be a future iteration, but we'll see. Get question again. A lot of this stuff was just not declared because of that missing curly brace, or that out of place curly brace for the end of riddle class. This is just as it looked. It's just as it looked. I had stood C out, and then I had like 4 of these angle brackets, when really you need 2 in a row to be an insertion operator like this. So I just had this weird thing. So I just fixed it by, deleting 2 of them and putting these 2 next to each other like this. I think there was some other stuff that I can't fully remember right now, but to be honest, I think a lot of these problems went away, a large majority of them, when I made those couple corrections with the curly brace and the other corrections with the initializer lists and things. So yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of the stuff went away. And now I think the only issue we have with the riddle class that I see, because this is in the display excerpts class, so really the only thing left with the riddle class seems to be this, is correct guess. So this method is guess correct, that takes in a string and returns a boolean. In member function it says it's an unused variable. We're not using answer. And so if you look, that is true in the sense that here's the function, is correct guess. So here's the function, and here I'm iterating through answers, which is a vector, so it's a collection, so I can use the range-based for loop. I'm pulling out answer, an individual element of the vector one at a time, and it's of type stood string, and I'm pulling out by constant reference for efficiency and all that sort of stuff, and because I'm not going to change it, I'm iterating through this vector, pulling out each individual element, and I'm giving it the name answer. But here immediately I take answer and I just assign it to this new string variable trimmed answer, which is not really how range-based for loops work. And I pulled this up to show that. Oh, this is not what I showed. Okay. Well, here, I'll just show you again. If I grab this, I'll type in, what's the issue or problem with the following code? So, if you read here, the issue with the code is that find last not of method returns the index of the last character that is not a whitespace character, but the erase method expects the index of the first character to be erased. So again, the find last not of method. So find the last thing that's not of whatever. Okay. Returns the index of the last character that is not a whitespace character. So the last non-whitespace character. But the erase method expects the index of the first character to be erased. So by adding 1 to the result of this, you are actually erasing one character too many, effectively removing the last non-whitespace character. Effectively removing the last non-whitespace character from the string. To fix this, you should remove the +1 from the erase. Oh, that's not even the issue I was trying to find, but however, more idiomatically, to trim whitespace from a C++ string would be to use the stood string find first not of and the stood string find last not of methods in conjunction with substring. Well, this isn't what I was trying to solve, but maybe we'll do that. Just put it in here for now. This wasn't the point of this, though, but basically the point is I'm going to ask, do I need to assign answer to a new variable, trimmed answer, or could I have directly caused what was I going to do? I'm blanking. Oh, I see what my issue is here. I've got trimmed answer, I get trimmed answer, and yeah, I'm not doing anything with it. Convert both string to lowercase for case insensitivity. I take guess, which is way up here. Yeah, what am I doing with answer? Actually, you know what? In real time, I'm realizing answer's not doing anything. I'm iterating through the answer. And I'm saying, oh, right here. I'm comparing lowercase answer to trimmed answer. I'm assigning trimmed answer to lowercase answer. And then lowercase dot begin. Okay. So basically the issue seems to be that I'm not using lowercase answer here. I'll say, what's wrong with this code? The issue with this code is that you are declaring trimmed answer twice. I declare it here. Oh yeah. I declare trimmed answer here when I assign answer, and then I declare it again here. But that's just a recent thing I just did, so that's not the issue. So let's just redo that so that it doesn't give us that error. So the issue with this code is that the trimmed answer variable is being reassigned after it has already been declared and initialized. So here we declare it, here we initialize it, and then we're reassigning it to lower answer. In C++, when you declare a variable, it is initialized with the value you provide. In this case, trimmed answer is initialized with a copy of the answer string. Later, when you try to reassign trimmed answer with the result of the substring method, you are not actually changing the original value of trimmed answer. Instead, you are creating a new temporary string object and assigning it to trimmed answer. You're creating a new temporary string object and assigning it to trimmed answer. Sorry. So yeah, later when you try to reassign trimmed answer with the result of the substring, so yeah, right here, when we get the result of the substring, so answer.substring, we're reassigning. I gotta see, this is what happens when you do things in real time. It's going to keep giving me an error, a weird thing, because I've not taking everything out. So let's try this again. What's wrong with this code? The issue with this code is that the variable trimmed answer is not declared before it is used. Oh my gosh. I'm really no good at doing this in real time. Okay, hopefully this time's better. So the code looks correct. There are no syntax errors or obvious logical errors. The code is iterating over a collection of answers, trimming whitespace from each answer, converting both the guess and the trimmed answer to lowercase, and checking if they match. If there's a match found, then the function returns true. However, there is a potential issue that might cause the function to not work as intended. If the answers collection is empty, the function will not return anything, which might cause undefined behavior. It would be better to add a return statement at the end of the function to handle this case. So basically, we have the rest of our code as we're iterating through, and at the end, return false if no match found. So now we're going to just try to recompile. I'm not sure if we actually solved this because it's saying unused variable answer. So let's just try to recompile. Yeah, we're still getting the issue where unused variable answer. Answer comes out. I'm using it here. I guess I don't know why it's saying not being used. I'm using it here to do stuff, and then assigning the value to there. Oh, maybe that's just it. I'll figure it out.